Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. On this channel we post writing tips, unboxings, book hauls, book reviews and the occasional vlog. And today it is time for my Q2 TBR jar picks. As always with my TBR videos, I will first go through my star ratings out of 5 for the 5 books from Q1 TBR's jar, and then we will be picking the 5 new books for Q2. The first book that came out of my TBR Q1 jar was The Ghosts of Sleeth by James Herbert. This one was a reread for me, and it's one I'm not going to do a full book review of, so I will review it in this video for you guys. I have a couple of quotes for you. The first is page 16. Desperate for a cigarette, longing for a drink. This book was released in 1994, and of course we've already been given the stereotype of an investigator. In this book we have David Ash, who is a paranormal investigator who has gone to the village of Sleeth to see what's going on and why there are just strange things happening in this little village. But of course he is an alcoholic and smokes like a fish and all the stereotypes, has very unresolved issues, as you would expect from the 90s. Another quote I have, which is sort of showing you the time period of this book, is from page 44, where we have Ash orders a half pint and a neat vodka. He handed over a £5 note for the drinks. Skip a bit. She gave him change. Change from a fiver for half a pint and a neat vodka. Inflation is insane. The main reason I don't want to do a full review of this book is because of the sexism in it. Now, it's very odd how it comes across sometimes in this book. It's things like when Ash first meets Grace, she's kind of backed into a corner and he consciously thinks about it and moves to the side so she'd have an escape route. Now, I understand that's David Ash being nice, but the fact that that's a normal thing for a woman to have to think about and be afraid of is horrible to read. We also had things like on page 321, "Be careful now," the man with the tie called after her quite sincerely. She was no spring chicken, but he wouldn't mind. This is a chance encounter. These two men that say that quote don't occur in this book again, and the woman in question is David Ash's sort of boss, and it's just a random one chapter from her point of view. It's not necessary to have a predatory gaze and those kind of comments spoken, and there's quite a few little bits like that. It's not the worst for sexism by far from this time period, but I just didn't really want to get into that in a full video, so that's the main thing I'm going to say about this and all the quotes I'm going to give you guys. It is actually fun to read, as in it is fast paced, it does all the stereotypes, but I gave it 3 stars out of 5 for The Ghosts of Sleeth. Not doing a full review because of the time period sexism. I just didn't feel like it was something I wanted to discuss, but it was an easy read. It's not a book I'm now going to keep in my collection. This was a second read for me. I read it in high school the first time, which was early 2000s. Things have moved on and my expectations of books have also moved on from then. The next books are all going to have full reviews coming out of them, so I'll just give you my star rating. We have The 1,000 Autumns of Jacob de Zoet, and this is by David Mitchell, and I gave this 4 stars out of 5. I will say I enjoyed it more because I had already read The Bone Clocks and Slade House before this one, even though in publication order this one comes first. Oh, bless me. But that made it more enjoyable for me, so bear that in mind. If you are reading David Mitchell, I would recommend going back to read this one. We then had The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. This is one from my New Year's book tag as a book I really had to read this year. And it's one that, although it was supposed to clear space on my shelf, It's part of a trilogy, and you can read it as a standalone. It ends really well, but it actually added 2 more books to my shelves because I love this book and I will read it again. I gave it 4.75 stars out of 5. We then had my Pratchett read for the first quarter, and that was Thud. This is part of the Guard series from Terry Pratchett, and this I gave 5 stars out of 5. I absolutely adored Thud. And the final book from the first quarter TBR jar was the book club read, which was The Christmas Eve Murders by Noelle Albright. And this one, there is a review coming out of it, which will come out at Christmas, but 1.5 stars, guys. Not a good time for me. That is all the books from the first quarter TBR jar. So we're now going to go into my quarter 2 TBR jar and the jar picks. I'm really excited for this. So let's hop straight into that. Before we begin with quarter 2, don't forget, if you like what you see, just subscribe to this channel. Your continued support means a lot. So thank you guys so much. As always in my TBR jar, I will have a Pratchett book. I will also have a book club book, and then I will have 3 picks from the TBR jar for this quarter. So to begin with, my Terry Pratchett book for quarter 2 is Wintersmith by Terry Pratchett. This is the 3rd book in the Tiffany Aiken series, and yes, I have already started it. I needed a palette cleanser, which has to be Pratchett, it just has to be done. So the first pick for quarter 2 is Wintersmith by Terry Pratchett. I'll read you guys the blurb for this one. She's danced her way into the oldest story there is, and the only way out is through the end. Every action has a consequence, even small, spontaneous, perhaps involuntary ones. And as a result of one such action, life for Tiffany Aiken is about to get very complicated. By dancing with a charismatic stranger, she has inadvertently begun a sequence of tumultuous events from which she cannot escape. But it's not just Tiffany who will suffer the consequences of that supposedly innocent dance. It's everyone who has expectations of the routines of life. That day will follow night, and that spring will follow winter, because nature must be allowed to take its course. So Tiffany Aiken is going to dance with the Wintersmith. This is actually a reread for me for a Terry Pratchett book. I'm loving it so far. Oh gosh, I think I've actually hit halfway through this morning. Oopsie. We then have the book club pick for this quarter, and that is The Lost Diary of Samuel Pepys, a novel by Jack Dewars. This is a debut novel, but I believe Matt has already started this, that the Samuel Pepys diaries are like a historical or a book series that is out of, royalties. Someone else has already done something like this. It's kind of a follow-on, but a different author. I don't know. It's the book club book. Let me read you guys the blurb. The Diaries of Samuel Pepys has enthralled readers for centuries with their audacious wit, grip and detail, and racy assignations. Pepys stopped writing at the age of 36. Or did he? This action-packed historical thriller picks up where Pepys left off as he sent dragging his feet from the pleasures of his familiar London to the grimy taverns and shipyards of Portsmouth. An investigator sent by the king to look into corruption of the Royal Navy has been brutally murdered, and it's down to Pepys to find out why. What awaits him is more dangerous than he could have imagined, facing would-be assassins, suspected Dutch spies, and a secret society of outlaws. Pepys has to decide who he can trust, and if the truth isn't uncovered in time, then England could be thrown into a war that would have devastating consequences. So a historical fiction thriller. Could be good. We shall see. And now for my favourite bit. It's TBR pick time. As always, I will pick 3 prompts from my TBR jar, and they will help me choose the next 3 books to add to this quarter. I'm always slightly scared and also very excited for this part, so let's get straight into it. The first prompt is, I'm going to try to go to the bottom. The first prompt this quarter is a book based in Europe. Ooh, so So it has to be a real sort of geographical world book and based in Europe. Oh, that's actually quite a hard one. I'm gonna go look on my other bookshelf. I have books on my TBR that are in other worlds or geographically outside of Europe. Let's have a look. That was actually lucky. So for this one, we are going to go with The Miniaturist by Jessie Burton. This is a book that is on my must-read list for this year, so I'm very happy to get another one of those into one of my TBR picks. And it is based in Amsterdam, which is part of Europe. So this is good. Let me read you guys the blurb for the first TBR pick of this video. There is nothing hidden that will not be revealed. On an autumn day in 1686, 18-year-old Nella Ortman arrives at a grand house in Amsterdam to begin her new life as the wife of a wealthy merchant, Johannes Brandt. Though curiously distant, he presents her with an extraordinary wedding gift, a cabinet-sized replica of their home. It is to be furnished by an elusive miniaturist whose tiny creations ring eerily true. As Nella uncovers the secrets of her new household, she realizes the escalating dangers they face. The miniaturist seems to hold their fate in her hands, but does she plan to save or destroy them? It does have reviews on the back. We have mesmerizing and suspenseful, unmissable, that's from Psychologies, tantalizing, beautifully poised, exquisitely detailed from Sunday Express. And then we have The Miniaturist is that rarest of things, beautifully written yet also a compelling page turner. It's haunting, magical and full of surprises, the kind of book that reminds you why you fell in love with reading. That's C.J. Watson, author of Before I Go to Sleep, The Observer, fabulously gripping, and Sunday Times, powerful and richly imagined. Ooh, the first one, so that is the pick for a book based in Europe. I'm happy with that. I was worried at first. I thought that was going to be a really difficult one to actually find. Okay. The second prompt is a new author to me. Okay, I've definitely had that prompt before. A new author for me. Again, I'm going to go look on my other bookshelf as well. I am doing it so well on this TBR jar for books on my must-read for this year from my New Year's book tag. I'll pop a link above to the New Year's book tag because I am killing it at the start of this year. For this one, I'm going to go with The Wren Hunt by Mary Watson. This is a book that Matt's dad found at Oxfam years ago, and we still haven't got around to reading it. Matt also hasn't read this one, but it does sound like quite a wintry read. So I know it's spring now, but if I read this one maybe first, I know I'm already reading Wintersmith, but if I read this one straight after Wintersmith, then hopefully it will still kind of be dark enough at the night time to go into this one. Let me read you guys the blurb for The Wren Hunt. Every winter, Wren Silk is chased through the forest in a warped version of a childhood game. The boys who hunt her are judges, powerful and frightening pursuers who know nothing of her true identity. If they knew she was an augur, their sworn enemy, the game would turn deadly. But Wren is on the hunt too, sent undercover as an intern to the Harkness Foundation enemy headquarters. Her family's survival rests on finding a secret meant to stay hidden. As the enmity between two ancient magics reaches breaking point, Wren is torn between old loyalties and new lies, and trapped in the most dangerous game of her life. Part thriller, part love story, this captivating debut novel will leave readers spellbound. And it's shiny. Look at the back. Oh, that shine. Okay, that is my second pick for quarter two. We are burning through this one. Normally it takes me a lot longer to choose books. I feel like I'm going to jinx myself and get a really hard one now. We will find out. Okay, the final, last prompt for quarter two TBR jar. Oh no. Book by an African author. Oh balls. Oh, I jinxed myself so hard. Oh, that's a hard one. One does spring to mind, and it is one I have been terrified to read. Matt read this a long while ago. Are you? No, Born in Jamaica. Oh, do I have a book? I'm gonna have to Google. Okay, I've got a list of 149 books. I'm gonna look at this list, and if I don't own any on it, then I'll need to do another TBR pick. Wait, was Tolkien South African? Tolkien was South African. Why did he end up in the World War? Okay, his parents kind of emigrated and then they moved back. I'm not going to count that as Tolkien being necessarily South African because it was for a job with a end of date contract. Okay, I'm going to pick another one. But that is something I need to correct. I definitely need to add some South African authors to our reading list. Definitely. A book written post 2010. So a book written after 2010. As we're doing really well, and I have 2 books in this for my New Year's must read book tag, and I did have 1 from my must read book tag. No, I think I had 2 from my must read book tag in the first quarter as well. Because I'm doing really, really well with that, I'm going to choose, I think, between these 2 books if they were written after 2010. This one definitely was because this came out last year in 2025. This one I will check now. Yes, 2017. So it's between these 2 books. Now, this one is actually, it's by Natasha Pulley, and it sits between The Watchmaker of Filigree Street and The Lost Future of Pepper Harrow. I thought that was a duology. It was not. This is actually in the middle. So by reading this one, I'm kind of correcting a oopsie because I missed it out in the first place. So that's one option. The other option is Never Ever After by Sue Lin Tan, and this is Sue Lin Tan's newest book, and you'll all know if you're not new to this channel, I do really love Sue Lin Tan's books, but I wasn't as keen on the release before this one, which was Immortals. I love the sprayed edges, but I was not as keen on the story. So this one is kind of a make or break possibly for me. So a little bit of high stakes here. I'm going to read the blurbs for both of these to myself and then tell you guys which one I'd go with. Both sound good. This one's kind of historical fiction with possibly a hint of fantasy in there. It's about going to Peru to find a cure for malaria. And this one is entirely kind of fantasy. Sue Lin Tan bases their writing on Chinese myths and legends and folk tales. Kind of sounds quite similar to Daughter of the Moon Goddess, which is the first Sue Lin Tan book I ever read that I fell in love with. But it's about someone having to go to the palace, but I don't think it's in the god's world. This might be a human. It sounds like it could be a love triangle, which is like the Daughter of the Moon Goddess trilogy. That is a love triangle read. We have like an enemy, advisor, and we have a prince. Start a new book, finish a series. I kind of want to go for this one because this one's actually been on my shelf longer than this. This I got it second hand from World of Books, but I just got it just before Christmas, whereas this one I got a little bit earlier in the year. So we're going to go with my final TBR pick is going to be Never Ever After by Sue Lin Tan. Let me read you guys the blurb for this one. Fate isn't forged in iron. Life in the Iron Mountains is harsh and unforgiving. After the death of her beloved uncle, Yining has only survived as a skilled thief and an even better liar. But when she acquires an enchanted ring that holds the key to a brighter future, it is stolen by her step-aunt, and Yining must venture into the imperial heart of the kingdom to seize it back. Amid the grandeur of the palace, Yining catches the eye of the ruthless and ambitious prince, who tempts her with a world she's never imagined. But nothing is as it seems, and soon she is trapped in a tangle of power, treachery and greed. Her only ally, a cunning advisor from a rival court who keeps dangerous secrets of his own. To break free, Yining must embark on a perilous quest to fight for a future that both frightens and calls to her, and choose who to trust when allies can be as deadly as enemies. This sweeping fantasy romance inspired by Cinderella and a Chinese fairy tale is the first in a breathtaking new series by the acclaimed Sunday Times best-selling author of Daughter of the Moon Goddess. And on the back it says, monsters live in all places and sometimes they wear crowns. So that is the third pick of the quarter 2 TBR jar. Let's go through the books that we have chosen. Alright, the first book for quarter 2 was my Terry Pratchett read for this quarter, and that is Wintersmith, which is the third book in the Tiffany Aiken series. The book club pick for quarter 2 is The Lost Diary of Samuel Pepys, a novel by Jack Dewars, which is a historical fiction thriller. And then the 3 TBR jar prompt ticks for a book based in Europe. We have The Miniaturist by Jessie Burton, which is based in Amsterdam. For a new author to me, we have The Wren Hunt by Mary Watson, which is a debut novel. And then for a book written post 2010, we are going for Su Lin Tan's newest book, which is Never Ever After. I think that's quite a good mix. We have fantasy, we have historical fiction. Quarter 2 is going to be fun. And that's it for this quarter 2 TBR jar pick. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed what you see. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. If you like to see as soon as I upload, click that little bell down below. You can also follow me on Instagram, Facebook and Tumblr. I post my bookish pictures as well as writing tips and unboxings on there. And thanks for watching, guys. Bye!